Do you feel like a high-performance vehicle that's running on a few cylinders less than what it needs to? Are you continually feeling like you're not able to be who you need to be in certain parts of your day, and you feel exhausted when you get home? Well, stick with me, because I want to help you to understand why that is so that we can do something about it. Hi, this is Grant Herbert, Leadership and Sustainable Performance Coach, and today I want to continue this conversation we started last week around shifting from high performance to sustainable performance by helping you to understand your brain. For many years, I just worked flat out. I thought the more I did, the more people would like me, the more I'd get done, and it made me feel like that I was a little bit in control of what might happen. And in fact, it was exactly the opposite. What I did, because I was operating out of those three universal fears of not being enough, not belonging, and not being loved, I was in the performance trap of getting people's approval, and I was a people pleaser. So everything that I did had the wrong motive. Everything that I did was for me to be able to prove to myself and to the world that I was good enough. This took its toll, not just on me and my health, but on my relationships and on every single person that I came in contact with. In my 40-odd years of career, I've had several physical and a couple of mental breakdowns. And sometimes when I tell people that, I'm sure they're thinking, well, why would we listen to you? You clearly don't know what you're talking about if you repeated the same breakdown. Well, it's in fact the opposite. The fact that I have navigated through those breakdowns and I have overcome the underlying psychology behind why I was trying to be all things to all people means that I can bring you an experiential learning that you can apply in your life. I know it works. And what my heart is to serve you so that you don't have to go through what I went through. I'm 62 years old and I'm still recovering from the effects of the stress that I put my body through. So when I went through my last breakdown, I remember it quite well. I was up on the 27th floor of a building in Sydney, doing what I love. I was giving, I was performing, I was with a law firm and I was doing a presentation around emotional intelligence, and everything was going great. They looked like they were really engaged. They loved what I was doing. I was on a high, but then all of a sudden it felt like the whole world just came crashing in. It felt like, even though it was a sunny day outside, that a dark cloud had descended upon me, and I didn't know what was going on. I'd never felt these feelings so intensely before. So, instead of stopping, checking in, and exercising self-care, you know what I did? I just kept going. I kept smiling. I kept ignoring it. And I thought, I'll just get this done. And the reason I did that is I was operating in that performance trap where I cared what they thought about my weakness. And I saw it as being a weakness. So I hid it from them at the detriment to my own health. Anything could have been happening, but I didn't care. I was just in the zone, making sure that they didn't know. So I finished the presentation. We shook hands. They walked me to the lift and I got in the lift. And the moment I got in the lift and the doors closed and I was now just there on my own, I started thinking, what's going on? What's happening to me? Was I having a heart attack, a stroke? What? I didn't understand it. I'd never felt that way before. I had several other meetings that day and I just got on the train and I went home and I went to the doctor, and it started a long journey of trying to find out what was wrong with me. Eventually, I found out that I had stage 3 adrenal fatigue and that I'd just worn my body out, both physically and mentally. And that set me on a path of discovery to learn more about why these things were happening. And to be honest, I became a neuroscience nerd. And I love understanding how the brain works and how it works with the other functions within our body and the nervous system and everything that goes with that neuroscience. Now, I'm not a neuroscientist. And in fact, Dr. Sarah Mackay, who is my neuroscientist, she says, if you want to learn neuroscience, go to a neuroscientist. And I totally agree with her, because there's so many things out there that are still being taught that are incorrect. Old neuroscience that's been debunked through the advent of fMRI, where we now know things in real time with live people rather than needing to wait until someone passes away and then cutting into their brain. So I'm not here as a neuroscientist. I'm here as someone who has a passion to understand more about why the brain is so important to be looked after, so that we can perform even in high performance, but do it in a sustainable way. So everything that I teach you through this shift from high to sustainable has strategies. It has things that you can do differently, but it's grounded in science. So today I just wanted to open the door on this and help you to understand in layman's terms how the brain affects what it is that you do and indeed your performance. Your brain is the center of all your energy, of all your decisions, of all your other bodily functions. It's like the engine in that high performance vehicle, and it needs to be looked after. So let's understand what goes on. So in your day-to-day, you have things that are going on within you and externally that can affect your performance. And these are the things that particularly were a part of that psychology that led me to performing in an unhealthy way that then gave me that breakdown. So Dr. Mackay teaches a very simple model that I love, because when we understand things, even in simple terms, it makes it a lot different to be able to employ strategies, because we know why it's going to work. As a child, I'd be pulling things apart all the time. I remember in my early career, when I first started, I was an automotive engineer, and I'd be pulling my car apart all the time, and Mum would go, "What are you doing? Why are you pulling the engine out of your car?" And it was because I knew how. I've always had that curiosity, but now that curiosity came out of necessity. So let's have a look at this quick model so we understand. And then as we move forward next week, we're going to look at some more strategies using this understanding that are going to help you to avoid that burnout. There are 3 ways that you want to look at your brain and how it's being influenced. The first one is top down. So top down is your brain speaking to the rest of your body. Your brain sends signals to the rest of your body for it to perform in a certain way. Particular nerves within your nervous system, such as the vagus nerve, regulate your heartbeat and your breathing. They're even involved in blood pressure and all these sort of things. So when your brain perceives something in a certain way, it prepares your body to be able to navigate that. Now, we've all heard of the fight, flight, and freeze response, and we might have a limited understanding around stress and what happens. And I'm not here, as I said, to teach you all of that, but I want you to understand that the brain needs to be in a state to be able to notice what's going on and to send the right signals. We need to be able to have that filter system allowing our prefrontal cortex to make great decisions around what we're doing. So that's top down. We've then got bottom up. Bottom up are the signals that are sent from your body to your brain. They could be in the form of a little niggle or a pain or a sensation, and that then is interpreted by the brain. Now, depending on what you make that mean will depend then on how it's interpreted. How it's interpreted will depend then or lead you to think in a certain way, which will lead you to behave in a certain way. So the influences are not just top down to your body also speaks to the brain. So therefore, we need to listen to our body. When you feel a certain way, like I did, standing on that 27th floor, doing that presentation, you need to listen. And if it's not something that you understand, you need to find out what's going on. And then the third area, we've had top down, we've had bottom up, is outside in. So there are experiences and external circumstances happening in your world. What you make them mean to you and about you also determine your behavior. So you need to be able to understand about what's going on, the stresses that are going on around you, the conflicts, the experiences, the things you're seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, whatever it is. And you need to be able to put those through a filter that is a positive one. Catastrophizing, thinking the world is against me, trying to please everybody all the time meant that those external experiences were made something different to what they really could have been. If I saw two people in a corner having a talk, a bit of a chat, and they glanced over at me, I made it mean that they were talking about me and something that I had done wrong. So therefore my behavior, whether it was just to internalize that or externally perform differently, became the biggest part of the problem. So what about you? What is your brain telling your body that you're not listening to? What is your body telling your brain that you're pushing aside? And what are you making those outside in experiences mean about you? These are the things that we need to get on top of and understand before I can teach you any strategies that are going to help you to make a healthy shift from high performance alone to sustainable performance. Identity, who you think you are and who you think you're not. Those three universal fears, things like imposter syndrome and approval addictions and the performance trap, being a people pleaser, all those things will have a greater effect on your ability to avoid burnout than anything else. And that's why we're going to make sure that we cover those off and we work through them so that you don't have to go through what I went through. But remember, I'm not a neuroscientist. If you want to learn more about that, I can hook you up and give you some understanding from a neuroscientist. But for now, I just wanted to get your attention. I know enough through personal experience and through the learning that I've been on since my breakdown to be able to take you on this journey. And I really hope that I've gotten your attention today and you'll come on the journey with me. So join me again next week as we continue the conversation and I help you with 7 habits for sustainability. I'll see you then.